gotta admit that I murdered that Hamlet scene, bro. Shakespeare is in his grave right now. He rolled over. You did your thing, beloved.
Well, hello, hello. My name is Nigeria Chambers. I'm from Big O Belt Media. It's an honor to talk to you three today about your new film, Sing Sing, which is going to be coming nationwide August 2nd. How are you three doing today? Thank you for the time.
Great to be here.
Thank you. Good to meet
Wel-
you.
Welcome to the nation's capital. I got to tell you, it's a complete monumental movement to premiere a film at the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Just for you three, starting there and this long road from its world premiere at TIFF last year to this point right now. What has those emotions been for you all?
I mean, yeah, I'd start. I think that, yes, premiering at that museum was just, it was emotional on many levels, and all of our screenings have been emotional in their own way. But I was talking to someone afterwards about that feeling of being in that space. And also, we had just done like a very quick tour of the museum. I've been to the museum before, but just seeing the depth of everything that's in that museum and what it represents for us, for Black people, for for this country, and having our film there. Uh, I spoke to someone and they said, the reason why you're having these feelings is because it's sacred space, and your movie is sacred space,
Mm.
and that really clicked for me, that it just feels like it's sacred, and it needs to be shared, it needs to be experienced as a community, and to be gathered there as a community to share this film that was made as a community was just so, it was monumental for us, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible. There's nothing.
No,
Not much better to say.
nothing has ever set the tone for a screening that we've had than being under that roof.
Yeah, I honestly, just the museum itself is sometimes just a lot to process that takes a few days to do so, and then to have a project that I can imagine just how much it means to you all, but just how much it means to us in that environment is really just something that I wasn't expecting an answer for right now. Um, when I got to screen this film, upon leaving the theater, I was asked my reaction, and I instantly was choked up. And although my reaction was very genuine and pure that moment, it really did take me a couple of days to really process a lot of the different themes that were being displayed throughout the entirety of the film. And one that really still sticks with me, and I'm still really struggling to process, is to become human again. I want to know what you three, what does that statement means to you all? And is this something that you're continuously having to kind of battle and shift the definition around with?
Whoever finds themselves um, behind these walls, I think, is confronted with a process of either rediscovering their humanity or trying to just hold on to it in a place that's designed to grind that out in you. And within like this, as Monique said, this sort of sacred space of this program, there is a very urgent sort of invitation to put down like the armor that you're holding that's very heavy to carry, and just enter as yourself, and to see, and when you do that, to see that other men are celebrating that in you and caring for that in you is kind of a miracle to be in the room for.
Yeah, it's amazing to see that they've created the space to become human again, as Dino says it, in a place that dehumanizes them every single day. But then even on a level that is a bit deeper than that, and I think something that all of us are feeling in watching the movie is, even beyond that, there's just such an openness that they have and such an honesty that they have, that they've stripped away all of their masks, and they've stripped away all pretense in a way that's, they're just very real and honest, in a way that I think what we realize is that we're not even walking around on the street and interacting with each other day to day, maybe as open and honest with each other as we can be. and what that can do for us all when we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much to add, but I think I think that there's something about the idea of being vulnerable, of having empathy for each other, of having radical love. Like all these ideas they're radical, especially when you're incarcerated, because, as Greg said, it's like it's designed for you not to feel those things and for you not to believe that you are human. And so I think that witnessing that process, on film was a reminder of what we all need, incarcerated or not, to feel human.
Yeah. Well said. This unconventional road for your cast to stardom is something that should certainly be studied. It is, and the theme of it is that, these are these people. And it's still to my disbelief. I'm like, well, they had to act this somewhere else before because they're just phenomenal. But I understand because the authenticity of their story, who else could tell their story better than themselves? I'm just kind of wondering for you all, in terms of the production, when the idea of wanting to be genuine to the story, but ultimately still having to do the work in terms of putting together a film. At what point did you really realize like these group of folks were light years ahead of their time in terms of their talent and being able to transition from, should we say, a theater setting to being in a theatrical sort of platform?
I mean, really from the beginning, we've been working on this movie for over 8 years and became aware of the talent within the program currently, but then of all the men coming home, and much of our cast does not work professionally in theater or film or TV. They have jobs in education as community leaders and all stuff, but there was always this like drawback to what they say being on the wood again, being on stage, and that because it was so sort of transcendent, and they found vocabulary to sort of speak about their experiences and and for expression and for community, that it wasn't hard to convince anyone to come back and celebrate what this program meant to them in the movie. And yes, this was their first time acting on camera, and there was a little bit of a transition to do that, but there was such an enthusiasm, just to step into that unknown that was so magnetic to all of us and contagious across our whole set, that it really lifted us all up and reminded us of like why we got into this in the first place.
I got 2 more questions for you all really quickly for time. The first thing is another thing that's probably, if not the strongest theme in this film, is really the power of rehabilitation through art. I'm wondering for you all, what has that meant for you personally? Obviously, with you all, coming from a different perspective of it, but I would imagine that getting this film out has been a measure of therapy or therapeutic for you all, but also being able to help tell these folks stories. So for you all, what does that message of rehabilitation through art mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the working on the film has made me just kind of reflect on my own relationship to art. As a filmmaker in my adult life, I've had art around me constantly, but I really do think it's just vital. I think back to being in first grade, maybe was it first grade, and you got an instrument. Basically, it's like they brought in the room and they were like, pick an instrument,
Yeah.
and through that, it's like that's how I was introduced to, like, I played the violin and then I played piano, and I did that for most of my youth was music. And I think
Yeah.
it really is vital, like everyone engages in it in a different way, but it's like it's this piece of our lives that we need, to survive. And I think that it can be transformational. It can change the course of your life, and it gives you an outlet, and it gives you another way to express yourself, that maybe is just more emotionally driven. So I think that this film shows that, and I think that's what a lot of people, connect to as well, is that, it's powerful, and it does change people's lives.
Yeah, I was very struck in us making the film of like how vital it is, and that healing process, and that rehabilitation that we all can go through by making something. And that was very powerful in the moment. But what struck me even more now, watching audiences react to it, is exactly what Monique was just talking about, from the other side of seeing how important it is and how vital it is for people experiencing it and going to the theaters, and what they're going through. People who have, never been incarcerated or anything like that, are still like, there's something healing and very powerful that they're going through, watching this movie and experiencing it, and doing that in a group. And I think that's the thing that, like, as we have all these conversations about like, what is the value of a theatrical experience or something like that, there's something very, very healing that's going on in those rooms. It's amazing to witness.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is still working on me. These characters are still working on me. I've been sort of thinking a lot about something Clarence says in the film about, I got a label,
Mhm.
and I think we all feel the world sort of try to box us in and to write on us who we are, but we all feel like there's so much more inside of us, and we're all more than the labels that are put on us, and they can, how those can sort of shackle us and hold us back from showcasing all of our light, and also, and then through Divine G, through Coleman's character, just that it's like asking for help, and needing that, and like, and our pride standing in the way of that, and our fear standing in the way of that, but then how that the liberation that can come from that one question of, do you help me?
That's again the things that get me, choked up and stuck upon. I mean,
Yeah.
just to be afraid to just say I need help is such a interesting, like normacy in the world that people aren't willing just to be acceptive of. It's okay. We're all human. We all have our challenges. My last question for you all is Colman, man. He had a phenomenal 2023, from Rustin to The Color Purple. And then for the lucky folks who was able to see this at TIFF, I had heard some whispers. They was like, now I know he's been nominated for those and certainly an amazing performance, but it was like, wait till you see Sing. I was like, okay, now I've heard it many times over, and without a doubt, it lived up. Plus, and his performance is stellar. I just want to know, for you all, knowing that you were going to be able to have this film coming out the following year, what was sort of that internal conversation about his performances, and ultimately just the attention that it would bring this film?
I mean, he is both honoring a very real person. He's done that in the past, but I think what's astonishing about his performance is the courage and space he allowed for himself to get into it. I don't mean that as like to limit the skill and technique of what he does, but part of that is when skill and technique can marry, that kind of bearing of one's sort of deeper soul, and to have both a strength to just tower in anything he does when he's on screen, and the way the camera finds him and the way he dances with the camera is extraordinary, but also never that being at the sacrifice of diminishing the men that he's sharing the room with, and lifting each other up through the generosity of the exchange that was happening. I mean, it's a marvel to watch.
Yeah.
Well said. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna add, yeah, it's just echoing what Greg said. It's just like his generous spirit is really just on display in this film, and I think just the fact that he chooses to do films, from his heart. And sometimes it's hard when you're an actor and you're kind of, on this incline like this. You're on a rocket ship, and you're not sure if you're gonna have time for the film that's shooting, that has a tiny budget, but that he was able to, choose it just from his heart, that he knew he needed to do it. And in doing so, has helped us bring something to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also just so magnificent. It's hard to think about many actors like him who contain such multitudes of. He's generous and he's kind and he's sweet, and we see all these things on camera. But then he's also magnificent and strong and masculine, but you know, sensitive, and it's just like all of these things that he shows often in just one scene. It's amazing.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Sometimes I feel like the world, we don't deserve somebody like him. He's so angelic in all he does. But Greg, Clint, and Monique, thank you so much for your time. Sing Sing is not only just a phenomenal film, but I think it's a game changer. There's going to be a lot of conversation. I can't wait for the entire world to see it come August 2nd. I know how much this film has done and meant to me thus far, and hopefully it inspires many more after its release. So can't wait to see you three get back to work too, just by the way. But
Thank you.
for what it's worth. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy DC.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Take care.